All right. Ready to go?
Yep.
Everyone in the service industry has a story. Crazy customers, wild orders, and WTF moments. Do you want to start a tab? The podcast here to bring you those tales from behind the bar. My name is Carl. I've been bartending for 13 years now.
Look at you.
Fuck, I'm old.
My name's Riley, and I bartended for a little bit, but now I like to sit at the bar.
Yes, you do a very good job of that.
I do like to watch people, and I think that's one of the best places for people watching.
Right, exactly. When
you can see people at their best and their worst right next to each other.
Absolutely. And it changes in a heartbeat.
Yes, it does.
So what we do on this lovely little podcast is we read stories about the hospitality industry, mostly from the internet, usually Reddit. Sometimes we have a guest, and today we do not have a guest. It is just the three of us.
Yep.
Oliver is sitting between us if you're just listening to this on your favorite podcast player.
And Oliver is a cat.
And his cat.
For reference.
For reference, that's true. Like, you just have a guy.
We don't have a random guy sitting between us.
But what was I saying? Oh, then we read the stories. We talk about it. Was there an asshole? Was there a hero? Could the situation been handled differently? And then we rate the story 1 through 5, 1 being your average, run of the mill, 5 being
a story you run home and tell everybody you know.
Right, exactly. So, because we're adults and we like adult beverages.
Yes.
And it is your day off today.
Yes.
What are we drinking today?
I made skimlets. I used Beefeater gin because we have so much of that.
So much.
And I added about a half a dash of bitters for each of us per standard size gimlet, which is important because I made us doubles.
Right, exactly. So they're big boys.
Yes.
So it's got a nice little different hue color than a normal gimlet.
Mm-hmm. Navigate around all of the equipment.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That is lovely.
It doesn't really change the flavor of the cocktail itself, but it's just a little bit.
There's more backbone to it now.
Yeah, it's like more cohesive. Mm-hmm. Like all of the ingredients are just like they're better together.
Absolutely. And if you're afraid of bitters, don't be. It's like salt and pepper. It's the seasoning of the cocktail world. So
yes.
Let's see here. So do you have a story you want to start off with?
I do. And I found this on Reddit from the Petty Revenge subreddit. And the username is not_Joshi. And it was posted 10 years ago.
10 years ago. What were we doing with our lives 10 years ago?
We had just met.
Yep. Well, almost.
Well,
10 years.
Well, let me rephrase. You had just moved in with me at this time 10 years ago.
No.
Yeah.
We're not at 10 years yet.
Oh, you're right. That would be 9 years ago.
Yeah. Sorry. History lesson for our It shows you that males and females forget important dates.
Excuse me.
Women and men
There you go.
forget important dates.
Thank you. All right. So this one is called Enjoy Your Premium Margarita blended with an extra shot of your own fingernails.
Okay. I'm here
And
for
for
that.
the life of me, I feel like I've read this story before.
No, you have not read this one before.
Years ago, I was a bartender for a local bar. A mostly awesome job where the money was decent and the beer flowed freely, though every now and again you would encounter some pretty douchey people. This is a tale of one of those people. I fondly recall this one time where I had this guy come in and sit at my bar during a slow spell in the day. The bar top was empty, so he had the whole thing to himself and my undivided attention. I remember him saying how he had shown up a bit earlier than his date for the night and how he wanted to knock back a few to help ease his nerves. A fairly common request. I remember his drink order. He wanted a premium margarita with top shelf ingredients, blended with extra salt on the rim. God, that sounds terrible. I whipped up his drink. He complimented its deliciousness and proceeded to guzzle it fairly quickly over the course of around 20 minutes. That's a long time. Sorry, that was my own addition. He ordered another, stated procedure. I figured, what the hell? His date's on the way, nothing wrong with a bit of liquid courage. So I mixed up his second drink and my back is turned while I'm watching the blender. As the noise dies down, I hear a familiar click, click. I turn around and pour his drink into a mug in front of him and see this dude clipping his fingernails right onto the bar top. Not exactly the best place to take care of that, but whatever, man. Guess he wants to look good for his date. So halfway through his second drink, his date arrives. And this dude wants to close out his tab and get a table. My douchebag sensor starts tingling as I hand him the tray thing with his card and receipt to sign. I make myself busy at the other end of the bar and bid him a good rest of his evening as he and his lady grab a table. I go to pick up the tray and receipt, and lo and behold, fucker stiffed me and left a pile of his fucking fingernail clippings in the tray.
Oh.
Come on, man. You just spent $18 on 2 drinks. That's a premium margarita. And the only tip I got was a handful of your disgusting gangly nails. Fuck that. I watched the bar ticker closely as the waitress from his section put in the order. I recognized premium margarita blended with extra salt. I did what any petty revenger would do. I tossed that pile of his own nail clippings into the blender along with his drink, then blended it up nicely. Then I watched menacingly from a distance as he chugged down his frosty naily beverage, knowing that was all the tip I needed. As an epilogue, he ended up not tipping the waitress either on a very hefty tab, so I regret nothing.
Wow. You have not read that story. You have not read that one.
There is so much nerve to be discussed.
Man, like, there are just some things not to do in public. Clipping nails is one of them.
Agreed.
Pulling money out of your bra
Agreed.
is one of them.
Honestly, just don't put money in your bra. Don't put money anywhere. Like, money gets sweaty. I get it, but like, I don't want to touch your sweaty boob money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I don't even want to touch your sweaty boob money.
no, I don't want. I don't want to touch my own sweaty boob money.
But so those are two things definitely I don't do in public because it's just ugh. But then, oh man,
To leave it.
to leave it.
To leave it not on the bar top, which would have been bad, but scooping them up and then putting them in the tray with your receipts.
Like
That's a double dose of audacity.
if you're gonna do it, at least ask for like a bev nap. And
Yeah.
put it in the bev nap and like wrinkle the bev nap up and like
And then ask them where the trash can is.
Right.
Or like, for fuck's sake, if you have to do it in the restaurant, go to the restroom.
That's true too. Maybe again, I'm not defending this guy for what he's doing, but maybe his nerves were, and that's just like something he does to like.
No, he's an asshole. I don't give a fuck. Like you get to if he had tipped well, he would have gotten a little bit more lenience from me.
Okay, I get you.
But this dude is ordering a blended drink, which I mean, unless you're in a Mexican restaurant that has or unless you're in a restaurant that standard does blended things, which we don't know in this case. But like, you're ordering a blended drink, you're clipping your nails at my bar top, and you're stiffing me.
Yeah, that's a lot of red flags.
Yeah.
Hopefully hopefully that woman realized what's going on.
I imagine that this guy was not nice to a server,
No,
like condescending and rude.
possibly, yeah. Wow. But then, like you said earlier, premium margarita, 2 of them is only $9.
What are they using?
Jose Cuervo?
Granted, this was 10 years ago. So let's think
That's
back
true.
to 10 years ago.
I don't know. I don't know what a blended premium margarita cost 10 years ago, but I don't think Patron has gone that much up in price. I'm going to assume Patron would be like the premium because that's usually the default premium. So I guess it's not that bad. And what if it's like, I'm thinking jumbo margarita because that's just so
no,
maybe it's just
but it was in a mug.
So
I would say like 16 ounce.
So yeah, so maybe that's about right.
Yeah, maybe.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yes,
overall, it sounds like he took his date to a not a dive bar, but like an Applebee's.
maybe. Or just maybe a standard Mexican restaurant, just normal, like everyday. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's not a point. But yeah, it's definitely douchey for you doing that and then stiffing.
Both your bartender and your server.
Yeah. Ah, man. Like,
Because
just
that
don't
means
be
the bartender got double stiffed because usually servers pay out or tip out.
No.
Oh, wait, no, the server had to tip out, so the server got
right,
double stiffed.
Double fucked. If that's this restaurant's policy.
Right.
Because that again, from our previous episode where we kind of talked about this earlier, or on that episode, is at least where we're used to.
Right.
The servers tip out 1% of their sales,
their
no matter
sales.
what the tips are.
Right.
So that's actually, now I know what story I'm going to read. So yeah, don't be that guy. I don't do personal hygiene shit
In public.
in public.
I mean, if you had time to show up,
hour.
let's say 30 minutes prior to your
Yeah.
date because it took him 20 minutes to drink the first one and he was halfway through the second one, so let's say 10 minutes. Just
Yeah, sure.
if you have an extra 30 minutes to come and drink a cocktail and a half before your date, you have time to take 5 minutes to clip your fingernails before you leave the house.
Right.
He actively chose to carry fingernail clippers.
That's what I was just going to say. I was literally going to just say that. He has fingernail clippers in his pocket.
He made a conscious decision to grab fingernail clippers and carry them into a restaurant.
The only way I can say that it would be acceptable to do that is if he has like one of those multi-tools, like with a knife. You know, some guys carry like a multi-tool on them.
Yeah, but you could have done that in the car.
Yeah. I'm just trying to logically get to why does he have fingernail clippers on him? Do you have fingernail clippers in your purse?
No.
No. I'm not saying.
Should I? Probably.
Yeah. Oh, I know a lot of women will have like the mini ones just for that like busted nail real quick, you know.
That's a good call. I should get a pair from a purse.
See, now we're gaining ground.
But still, if I was gonna clip my fingernails, it'd be in the car.
Right, man.
God, that's got to be against food code. You would think, right?
It's not the. It's no.
It's not in prep areas.
Right.
God, that's still gross. I'm still just.
See, like, if I was the bartender, I would have said something like to him. You know, like, look, dude, bathroom's right there.
Yeah.
I would have been that guy to say something to him.
Yeah.
You know, like especially like, did he instantly get done clipping his nails and then the ticket was given to him, like, you know, his tab, or were they sitting there for like a minute or two or 5 minutes? You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder how long between being done and paying his tab happened.
Also, imagine you're his date.
You know, sorry, go ahead. Yep.
And she walked up.
And saw that.
She walked up and then he asked for the tab, right? Mm-hmm. So she saw his fingernails on the table,
point.
unless he was hiding them.
But I didn't answer my own question. I thought about it more. He said the bartender got done blending the second drink when he heard the snaps or the clips. So he drank at least half his margarita with those fingernail clippings just sitting there. What the like? Look, if you have to do it for whatever reason, go to the bathroom. The second of all, if you're going to do it at the bar for whatever fucking reason at all, you gotta be respectful and just like
ask for a trash can.
Yeah, right.
Or a bev nap, and then where the trash can is. Better yet, go to your car.
Yeah.
Or if you
even
didn't,
outside on the sidewalk, like around the corner.
Go outside. The smokers go outside, and that's more disgusting than fingernails.
Fuck yeah.
So just go outside.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think the bartender is an asshole for blending the fingernails into the margarita?
Ooh, we haven't even talked about that.
We
yet.
haven't.
Oh, wow. Oh man, like that's so a piece of me says yes, you should never fuck with someone's food or drink, right? Like that's.
But then the other side of you is like they got what they deserved. Like, should the bartender have done it? No. However, I'm not going to call them an asshole because it takes a very there had to have been more to this guy's vibe that was just off.
Yeah.
And also, because like I wouldn't just like you really gotta piss me off to think about that kind of revenge.
Yeah, I mean, guys, she's never done anything like that to me yet, and I pissed her off. So.
Oh boy.
Wait, that I know of.
No.
Have you done anything?
No, I don't fuck with your food or drinks.
Guys, this might be my last drink ever. Just kidding.
The bartender was obviously wrong, but I also don't consider them an asshole. It's probably going to be unpopular. But like,
I don't think it'll be unpopular. I think people are going to be like, yeah, give the guy what he deserves type thing. What would have been funny is if he took one of them
and put it in. Honestly, like
if
it were me and I really wanted to be an asshole, the fingernail clippings would have been in the margarita salt.
Right. So he could visually see it, complain about it. Like, no, dude, that's yours.
Those are yours.
Like if I was like going to quit this job or I didn't care about this job,
right.
I would have done something like that.
Right. I mean, I feel like the bartender didn't take the opportunity that was.
Maybe he just needed the job.
That's fair.
10 years ago, bartending jobs might not be plentiful as they are today.
Right.
What?
I feel like it was an asshole move, but I wouldn't consider the bartender an asshole.
Man, this score is, wow. I'm just gonna go with my natural gut 3-2.
Have you had somebody clip their fingernails at the bar?
Absolutely not.
So how was it a 3-2?
This is why I love you so much. You get me thinking.
I'm going to say this is it's so mundane, but it's so wild that somebody had the nerve to do it. So I'm going to go like 4-3. 4.3.
All right. Well, I'll go a point ahead of what I was going to score. So let's say 4.2.
Because, like, everything about this is understandable, like, except for the fingernails. But then, like, you've seen people not tip even though they request premium shit. You've seen people ask for blended margaritas, but, like, I have never seen somebody clip their fingernails and then not tip.
Yeah, that's...
And then put the fingernails in the credit card slip tray.
You know what? We're going 4.6. You... Why aren't you a fucking lawyer? Be a lawyer. I'll put you through law school.
I'd have to go back to school.
I'll put you through school.
Oh, will you?
I'll start my OnlyFans.
All right, bet.
Feet pics and OnlyFans.
You'll be taking pictures of my feet to do it.
I bet we can find at least one backer.
To send me to law school? Mm-hmm. Maybe.
All right, guys. If you have a personal hygiene story that happened at a bar or a restaurant, please let us know. We have a subreddit. Do you want to start a tab? It's in the link of the description of any podcast platform or YouTube that you are listening to this. So just click that little guy and leave us a story. I want to hear. Is there a worse hygiene story? We've already talked.
I mean, I'm sure there is.
There is, right? Like we talked about people shitting themselves, and that's like way worse than this. But like a personal like hygiene, that's personal when you shit yourself. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just I want to hear it. I want to see. No, I don't want to see. I want to hear it and see if you can outdo this story.
Right.
So yeah, just let us know. All right. So you reading that story, I had 3 stories picked out or ready to go, and I am going to keep on going with the tipping.
Okay.
That's today's episode theme, tipping. So this is the subreddit Am I the Asshole? Mm-hmm. The username is Glenn Romer. 4 years ago this was posted.
Okay.
Am I the asshole for not tipping the bartenders? Happened last week and I've been conflicted ever since. Last week I joined a few friends at a local bar for a trivia night. I very rarely go to bars, but I enjoy trivia and it was a chance to spend some time with friends. Now, after being there a while, I decided to get a drink. So I went up to the bar, ordered my overpriced beer, and paid. Like I said, I don't go to bars much, so I don't have much sense of common practice. It occurred to me briefly that maybe I should tip, but I figured, hey, I'm not sitting at the bar. The guy just handed me a bottle, so it wasn't like a specialty drink that he had to make. I was paying cash for my drinks. I'm a poor college student, and I didn't want to overpay for every drink I ordered by $1 or more. I figured I would just leave a tip when I got my last drink before I left. What is NBD?
No big deal.
Oh, no big deal. Sorry, guys. I'm old and I'm still getting used to this lingo and emojis. Later in the night, I go back in for another drink and I get a rum and Coke. It's important to note that I had a different bartender than the first time. Again, paid for what it cost and went back to my booth to continue trivia. Then I go up for a third and order 2 drinks, one for me and one for my friend. Maybe that makes a difference. Once again, I had a different bartender than the first 2 times. But this time when I paid, the bartender took my cash and said, "You know we work for tips, right?" I was taken aback. I started to mutter something about planning to tip when I left, but quickly decided the tip was no longer happening. It left a bad taste in my mouth, but also felt like a shitty person. My thinking is, I plan to tip later. This was my first time tonight that this bartender had served me, and I was not sitting at the bar. I just wanted to get my drink so I could go back to trivia. I'm not trying to protest the tipping culture or anything, but if she does work for tips, that's not my concern. If her paycheck isn't enough, that's between her and her employer. I felt like I had every right to tip or not, and being called out like that made me err on the side of not. Obviously, I'm not required to tip, but I also don't go to bars much, so maybe I just committed a faux pas. She had $6, so I gave her $6. So am I the asshole or just naive? So there is a couple edits, but before we discuss the edits, I want to see if you talk about what the edits are.
Okay, so here's the thing. Should the kid have tipped? It's our culture. It is standard practice. It is a societal norm. Therefore, as somebody who feels inclined to follow that practice, I think if they had planned on tipping at the end, then they were fine. Mm-hmm. Because, for a beer and for a well or like a call mixer, 50 cents is fine.
Yep.
So this bartender's the asshole in this story.
The third bartender.
The third bartender. Mm-hmm. Should they have tipped? They had intended to, so they were going to.
Right.
So the answer to the question prior to this bartender calling them out is no, because you planned to. After this bartender called them out, fuck you. I'm not
Right.
tipping you.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a bitch,
Mm-hmm.
you can be a bitch and I won't tip you. Like, me as a person, I would probably still tip you 10%,
Sure.
because 10% is or like maybe I'd have tipped 5% because that's an insult.
Right. Like
Like,
tipping.
if you're going to be a bitch, I'm going to tip you lower than what you want just to show you that you're an asshole.
Right.
I'm going to actively participate in the act, but I'm going to make it known that I'm purposefully not giving you a good tip. But I wouldn't say this kid's the asshole in the story. I wouldn't.
The only reason I think he's the asshole is I'm a broke college student.
Don't go out drinking.
I get that.
Yeah.
I work at bars. At the hotel bar, I would have college students come in for one drink, and before, because they want one good drink before they go out for the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming at all the fucking college bars, they're broke college kids.
Right.
Totally get that. Fine with that.
But honestly, when I was drinking in college bars, that's why drinks were $3.50.
Right.
Because they give you $4 and they just leave the quarters on the bar.
That is common practice at bars to make prices $4.50, $4.25, so they just leave you the change.
Right.
They don't want fucking quarters in their pocket.
Right.
But if you're going to go out and you're a broke college student, that's fine. You bought 4 drinks.
Right.
If you're that broke, you're not that broke.
Right. I immediately cringed when he said overpriced beer.
Right. Then why are you buying an overpriced beer if you're broke?
Right.
That's the problem I have with this store. If he just bought 1 beer, or maybe 2, let's just say 2. Let's say he just bought.
Or if he hadn't bitched about the price of things.
Right.
Like,
You want me to feel sorry for you, but now you're complaining about spending your money.
I don't usually go out and I don't drink in bars, but like I paid for overpriced drinks and now I have to tip. That sounds assholey. Yes. However, the question is not, am I the asshole for thinking drinks are overpriced? So, like, if that was the question, like, is this kid kind of an asshole? Yeah. But that's not the question. That they're not an asshole for not tipping.
Yeah. I mean, you're not naive because you know what you did.
Right.
What you did is wrong.
Right. Well, but
Not,
like,
okay,
but
that's,
I wouldn't even say it's wrong.
No, I'm backpedaling.
Because I understand that you're a tipped employee, and I used to work with servers like this who would be like, oh, they fucking stiffed me. Well, maybe if you smile a little bit. Like, I hate it when people tell women to smile, but like, maybe if you were nice, you'd have gotten a better tip.
Hey, people tell me to smile and tell them, nope. I'm like, no, you need to. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't need to do anything.
Yeah, but for you, it's different because you're a man. And it's a little bit more acceptable for you to not smile and be a bartender and you still get tips.
Right. But yes, I honestly think they're both assholes. I think this is a double asshole story. Because it seems like he already, or she, whoever, I don't know if this is male or female, it seemed like they already made up their mind that they weren't going to tip from the get-go.
No, he said he was going to tip at the end.
I don't think so. I believe that they weren't going to tip no matter what.
I think they were going to tip poorly, but I think they'd have left a couple bucks on the counter.
Maybe.
But then when it comes down to it, we can't, we say this in my job all the time, we cannot assume intent.
Right.
Because we don't know, like, that scenario never played out.
Right. That's true.
The question is, after this interaction, did I deserve to feel like a shitty person because I didn't tip? And in this case, I would say no. I would say you do not need to go home and feel guilty because you didn't tip because the bartender was a dick to you.
You know,
like you get what you give in this scenario, and this bartender was probably pissy because they were hosting trivia night in a college bar, which I imagine is a college bar. Mm-hmm. And college kids don't tip well.
I'm interested though too. 3 different bartenders. Like, how busy is this fucking bar on a trivia night? That's interesting.
Right. I mean, it's a college bar, I would imagine.
Sure.
But still, like, if you have 3 different bartenders, and I mean, on 4 drinks, noticing that tipping it, nope. She's just pissed that they gave that this person gave her exact change, and didn't leave anything on the table. She saw it and she'd been annoyed all day and she just took it out on this guy or person.
Do you think it's ever okay for staff to call someone out on tipping?
I don't know if there is a classy way to approach it. Or like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I feel like there may be, in the moment, no.
Mm-hmm.
But then out of the moment, then it doesn't, it doesn't really, just kind of.
So I know sometimes in restaurants, I've heard stories where managers or servers, depending on how well spoken they are,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's a huge bill, a couple $100s, and they get like 10% or something like that. And they notice it before they leave, and they just go up to the table, you know, is there anything else I could have done to make, you know, they're kind of like asking in the nicest way, like, what else could I have done to make your night better to get a bigger tip without saying it? But that's what they're asking. So
Right.
I feel like maybe sometimes that might be appropriate. I feel, let's say you work at a fancier restaurant. I guess it doesn't have to be fancy, just a restaurant, right? Or whatever, doesn't matter. Bar, restaurant, whatever. And you have a regular that comes in and they just stiff you all the time. Then I think
Right. Once you've built a relationship with that customer.
Right. I think, you know, if you know, like, oh man, they kind of come in, they're going to stiff us. I've heard stories where they get told they're not allowed to come back anymore. I've heard that before.
I mean, and that's between a bartender and his patrons. Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
But to just come out rudely and say, you know, we work for tips and probably just snag the money out of that guy's hand, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's not an appropriate way to handle the situation. I don't know if I could articulate a good way to handle the situation.
Sure.
But that is not it.
Yeah. So we have an edit from the OP. So obviously this was up for a while and they wanted to just add their 2 cents to what a lot of the common comments were. So it seems, oh, and so they are voted, they are the asshole. That's the vote for Reddit has said. Reddit, I think, is more just black and white on the situation than they are like discussing this in a scenario wise, right?
That or it's a bunch of bartenders who don't get tip who are voting.
Yeah. So, I was going to say this real quick. When people don't tip me, I really don't give a fuck.
Right.
Unless, like, man, I went out of my way. I made sure you guys had a great time. In my mind, I'm like, oh, that sucks. But I have plenty of people that fucking tip me 30%. So, again, at the end of the year, I'm fucking making 20 to 23% average anyway.
Right.
So it all works out.
Right.
Yes, I could make more if those people who didn't tip me more, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. I don't know what the situation that they're in to...
It just makes me think of the movie Waiting. With a lot of stories make me think of Waiting.
Yeah.
With the server that when Justin Long is like, no, you obviously need this more than I do. Like, it's the industry is the way it is, and we can criticize the tipping the tipping norm.
Yep.
And I mean, honestly, there are problems with the tipping structure.
Absolutely. It's
I mean, to not have a tipping culture would be great, but America's not going to do that.
No. All right. So the edit. It seems like I am the asshole. I just want to clarify a few things. First, I know that if you plan to tip at the end, you should open a tab. That's on me, just inexperience. I will do that next time. My issue was solely with her saying to that despite the fact that I still had the opportunity to tip her. And I did plan to leave a tip at my table so it could be split amongst all the bartenders and busboys, though I realized she probably didn't think that. I know she and the other bartenders probably talked and she heard I hadn't tipped the other times when I ordered. Again, planned to tip at the end so I could just do a percentage of the total. But in my opinion, talking trash about patrons to your coworkers isn't exactly generosity inspiring either. I think some people think I'm the asshole because I ultimately didn't tip and that affected the other bartenders and workers. I do feel bad about that. If I had a way to tip just them and not her, I would have. In my opinion, however, if she was not capable of just serving me my drinks and being polite about it, she doesn't deserve a gratuity from me. To me, that's the bare minimum effort. In the future, I will open a tab. I mean, those are definitely all valid points.
I mean, but I don't think you should have to open a tab to tip at the end.
I guess here's how I'm not saying they had to do this. This is just kind of a thing that I know we sometimes do, or I've had people do it to me. They're like, hey, I'm just going to tip you at the end of the night.
Yeah, but like,
You don't have to say that or do anything
right.
like that.
I never liked it when people said that because when people didn't, then I felt like they were assholes.
Sure.
So like, I would just honestly, if these bartenders were doing their jobs, like you said, at the end of the day, it's gonna come out. It's gonna work out.
Yep.
And like, I understand that people got bills to pay, but you're not gonna get them paid by being a dick to your patrons.
Agreed.
And like I said, I don't think this guy's the asshole. I think the bartender's the asshole.
Yep.
I think if somebody is going to speak to you in such a disrespectful way, you don't owe them anything. And if their coworkers have a problem with it, then they need to address it with the person who is responsible.
Yep. For story wise, this is like a 1.8. No, I'm going to go lower. This is 1.4.
I was going to say 1.2.
Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, this happens every day, all day. It's never going to change.
Right.
People just have, again, there's so many variables when it comes to this shit. It's
Right.
impossible to put it in a blank canvas or a broad stroke.
Yeah, like to have a generic answer.
Right.
And honestly, like you work in a bar on trivia night. You're not going to get tipped well. If you don't like it, go work somewhere else.
Yep, absolutely. And always remember, don't be a dick. Tip your bartender and drink responsibly.
Unless your bartender's an asshole. And then tip them 1%.